Hi everyone, I'm Brianna and welcome to Roll Initiative. Today we're going to be looking at some house rules that will make your game more exciting. So, let's get started. Now, the first house rule we're going to be looking at is using a shield at the same time as a bow. And I allow this as it is actually historically accurate. Some people during medieval times did use a shield at the same time as a bow and arrow. It was often a small shield strapped to their arm, which allowed them to handle their bow while still having a shield. As it is smaller than a general shield, I'd probably halve the protection, just a +1 to your armor class instead of +2. But shields were often used by archers in different ways as well, such as carrying around a shield, but when they went to fight, they would dig it into the ground so that they could hide behind it and give themselves cover. But how much cover they actually get from this would depend on the size of the shield and the size of the character. This is a house rule that you've probably heard before, and that is making critical hits do more damage. With this, they do the total that the weapon's damage dice could do, and then the damage dice, then your modifier. Such as if it's a longbow, then it does 1d8 damage. So it will do 8 damage plus 1d8, then plus your modifier. The point of this rule is pretty much to make critical hits do more damage and be more exciting. It's quite a common rule that a lot of people use, and personally, I quite like it. This next one is for Dragonborns, and that is letting Dragonborns use their breath weapon outside of combat. And I actually think this is a really good one because it makes Dragonborns' breath weapons feel more useful, and it makes sense that they'd be able to use their breath weapon to, light a fire, depending on what type of dragon they are, obviously. Letting Dragonborns use their breath weapon outside of combat is a really neat skill, and it can help with so many things that aren't related to combat, and make the race in general feel much funner to play and more useful. In my games, I really like to reward my players for creativity, whether that's something in combat or just some clever way of overcoming an obstacle. I like to give them advantage on something that they've come up with if it's really interesting or creative. And I tend to just give them advantage other than giving them inspiration. And that's because you award someone inspiration and maybe they forget to use it, and they can use it on whatever they want, even if it's something very mundane or small that they do after doing something large and cool. So I actually prefer to just award advantage to my players so that they have advantage on whatever cool thing they're doing and not saving it for something and then forgetting to use it. And there's probably a lot of people who are going to disagree with me on this, but that's fine because inspiration is a part of the game and it works well for a lot of people. And I have just found that I have some problems with it, and that doing this fixes almost all of my problems. So if you're like me and you like this rule, then awesome. If you don't, that's totally fine. It's whatever works for you and your table. But there we go, that's the end of this video, and I really hope it was helpful. And if it was, then I would be super grateful if you'd consider giving it a like or maybe even subscribing to my channel. But as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.